He must have known.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand his instinct.
I think as an isolated incident, you can say yes. That is, from a technical standpoint, meant that Salford didn't get the ball back. But in the previous 40 minutes,
I'm not blaming Niall Levels for the defeat. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that's the sort of thing that turns you from a competitive side that's doing well into a side that can win close games. Being switched on at times like that.
I agree.
Like Chris Sandow was to be switched on to kick 43-metre drop goal or whatever it was.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Absolutely unbelievable, and it had me off the couch when that went over. I was mostly because I was cheering Warrington on because I picked them in the tipping that week, so it kind of dictates who I support in each game. But it was a tremendous way to start the Rugby League weekend. Anyway, meter numbers were close. Both sides made 4 clean breaks and grabbed 5 tries each. The error count was pretty low: 4 for Salford, 5 for Warrington. In that weather conditions, that's remarkable, isn't it? But the penalty count was pretty high. 10 conceded by Salford, 12 conceded by Warrington. Particularly in the first half, Warrington were terrible. Well, he was trying to get the ruck speed up, wasn't he?
And the players just weren't playing ball. They just ignored it. And then you see everyone slagging the ref. In my opinion, that was down to the players. No,
he did the right thing. He wanted to get a fast-paced game going on. I didn't have a problem with the way it was refereed.
No, one big difference was tackle success. Salford 90%, but Warrington, who are the best this year so far, 94%. Ultimately, 2 bad drop goal attempts from Salford and 1 great attempt from Sandow was the difference on the scoreboard. Individually, Ryan Atkins grabbed 2 tries for Warrington. Ashton Sims with a try assist in 123 metres, had a massive game. Matty Russell with 201 metres ran the ball back a lot.
Yes, he did. A lot of that 201 metres came from inside his own half.
And Chris Hill with a try assist, 47 tackles, 136 metres, did everything you'd expect from him. Junior Sow with 2 tries, 104 metres and 2 clean breaks. Josh Jones with 1 try, 5 tackle balls, so 121 metres and 5 successful offloads. He's having a really strong season. Justin Carney 168 metres despite sending 10 in the bin. And Tommy Lee, who's probably the top tackler this year, I'm guessing, because 50 tackles is a lot. I'll look into that, but he keeps making the numbers, doesn't he? So good effort from their captain, but ultimately
all for naught. Absolutely. Ian Saguni got in touch. He said Chris Sandow, the greatest halfback in the world. Then a lot of smiley faces. I'm assuming that's
I think they're crying with laughter, those faces.
They're crying with laughter. Yes they are. Okay, well, probably not. John Dix whispered quietly, it might actually be their year. Do you think it's Warrington's year this year based on what you've seen so far?
I think it's as good a chance as any.
I think you might be right. Okay, Wire Joe 90. Salford wanted it more than we did in the first half, and without Gidley we looked as confused as we did all year last year going forward. Great comeback, and what a drop goal from Sandow to win it. Still waiting to see a full 80 minutes to be put together from this team. Improvements needed, but enjoying the win tonight.
Wire Joe's a new name on me, so thanks for getting in touch, Joe.
Keep it up, Wire Joe. DG Knights only caught the last 15 minutes, but that drop goal from Sandow has to be worth the win. Thought he was an overhyped waste of space last year. Different story this. Could say the same about the whole Salford team, though. I think they will make the 8 this year. Colin Render said...
Obviously this was before points deduction talk around.
Colin Render was going to say I think Salford might be the real deal, but after their collapse or Warrington's fight back, maybe they're not ready and maybe it's Wire's year. Either way, a great game to watch and a great advert for the game. Mr. Jeff Jefferson said tonight's review is simple. The game shows exactly why we all love Rugby League. I agree wholeheartedly. Diane LBW, O'Brien did a really good job considering he spent all his career playing in the halves and not at fullback. He's starting to... When that first happened, when they first started playing him at fullback, I questioned that, but actually he's growing into the role, isn't he?
My question isn't about him as a fullback necessarily, and he's showing more toughness than I knew he had. But it's about Evald not playing. But they're being proved right with the performances, if not necessarily the results.
Yes, exactly. Tyler Casfant, great game, just 2 points for Salford in the second half. Did they try and hold on to their half-time margin? The biff seemed to change the game. Sandow was brilliant. Another one from Diane. Thursday night game was a humdinger, which Salford expertly gave to Warrington in a 15-minute second half spell. I do hope Salford get their collective act together this season, as they look a terrific team when they play as one. Tom Eckley 99. I mean, our defence and discipline was shit, but what a great way to win. Good lad. Alan Witts, despite the fantastic drop goal to win the game and the great comeback, I don't think this was the best of games. No real moments of class before the drop goal. I wonder how many Wire fans saw a comeback on the cards at half time. Hicks got some stick for the penalties, but surely the players have to take some blame for this. Well, we alluded to that earlier on. Sam K. Rowlett, she got in touch. Well, Rugby League experts, you all slagged him off last year. Have that. Chrissy Sandow, what a comeback, what a way to win. Credit to Salford, much improved. Curry / Murdoch Masilla sin binning seemed to turn the game. Of course, it was Curry and Justin Carney who were sin binned. The forwards never gave in for wire. Johnny, that Rivets, got in touch. Hiya, John. Good game tonight. Sandow kicked those from halfway for Souths, so he's not surprised. Andy Barker said, not the greatest game between two evenly matched sides. In the end, Salford's ill discipline cost them a game that was there for the taking. The Spouse beater in particular had a shocker which nobody apart from the Salford fans will be disappointed about. Willows Road, much better start to the game than last week. We had our foot on Warrington's throat and should have closed the game out. A lack of discipline unsettled the team and Warrington grew. Excellent piece of skill from Sandow. Salford halfbacks both had an opportunity to do the same, lacking belief that we can beat the top teams, but we're improving each week.
Lee Whitnall, which is a new name on me, so thanks for getting in touch, Lee. At times this game was like watching schoolboy rugby with both teams conceding soft tries and Wire especially guilty of giving away field position as a result of daft penalties. Of course, none of that mattered to me when Chrissy hit that sweet drop goal and sent us to the top of the league. Improvement required, though, if this is going to be our year.
Nice one.
Brian Davies said, very entertaining game, cracking finish too. Salford look as though they have finally got a decent side together, and if Tim Sheen stays there for a couple of years, you could see them gradually become a competitive side. Likely to nick a few points off some of the top sides this year, but will still fail to make the 8. Paul Lulu said, another amazing Thursday night game. I defy anyone to watch that game and say that Rugby League is not the best game on the planet. I hate Wire, but I even have to applaud that drop goal. I hope they enjoy being top for one whole day.
Very good.
Dr. Bob Phillips said, tremendous finish. Highlights show a great battle. I think the Wire may be right. It's their year.
Ooh.
And Dom Release said, a game of two halves, as Salford didn't come out for the second. Taking nothing away from Wire, they played really good game and gave away stupid fouls in our own half. But giving away stupid fouls in our own half made their job a lot easier. Case in point was Masilla's offside and Tompkins for dissent. Russell had a great game, causing problems even in Warrington's poor spell.
Yeah, I did like the fact that he pinged Tompkins for chatting back to him as well, and it happened a couple of times over the weekend as well, because it happened in the Leeds game as well.
Leeds Huddersfield game, we'll get to that. You're not captain anymore.
Exactly. So
we've got a chant. Who's got Huddersfield next week? Chant that.
I think it's we'll get to that later. They're playing OKR, aren't they? Yeah, it's a right humdinger down at the John Smiths. Dom Release, can we start calling him Executive Release, please? My own amusement.
If he's happy with that.
No, well, he doesn't have a podcast, so we will never know, I suppose.
Yeah. Well.
Okay, over at the Langtree Park, it was at the Langtree Park. Over at Langtree Park, it was St Helens 28, Castleford 22. Cass got out to an early lead, but Saints' class told in the end over Castleford, Mark.
Yeah, over 11,000 on to watch, which is a good crowd. Apparently there was a strong support from Castleford as well as a good turnout for the home side.
Well, the away side will have, anticipated a win, perhaps more so than they have done in recent years.
Yeah, and they would have been anticipating even more early doors when they took a nice lead, but it was a bit topsy-turvy first half, and Saints kind of took control, but Castleford came back into it late on and ended up just one score away from tying it, and I think they had opportunities. Saints won the game. I haven't seen any highlights of this one though. I don't have I? Yes, I have. I've seen Luke Walsh kicking the ball.
There you go.
Saints won despite one fewer break, 4 more penalties conceded, 0.7 metres per carry lower average gain, and 5% worse tackle success. 96% from Cass is very good across the whole team. Cass did themselves damage though, with 15 errors to 9 by the Saints, and that meant Saints were also able to put pressure on from 7 goal line dropouts to 0. 7 goal line dropouts. One other number where Saints won was total metres. 1,182 to 996. We know teams rarely win if they're less than 1,000 metres, but that's 7 goal line dropouts.
That puts you under a lot. That's a lot of repeat sets.
Tells me 2 things. One, Saints lack in executing final plays to score tries, but Saints have got an ability to put teams under continued pressure, and if you do that, eventually teams will crack.
Yeah, that's an astounding.
Well, champion teams maybe don't, but teams, up and coming teams.
I think if you put most teams, if you require 7 goal line dropouts in a game, you're gonna ship a couple of tries, aren't you, at least?
Yes, you would expect so. Yes.
Okay, so individually then, who stood out for us?
Matthew Dawson, ended up on the wing after our cartoon dog friend Adam Swift went off. I'm not sure to the nature of that injury yet, but 2 tries, 1 try assist for Matt Dawson. Astley Avey was probably the star of the show outside of the kicking game of Luke Walsh, and he got a try in 141 metres. James Raby 136 and Alex Walmsley 152. Do what we expect from those two, really. For Castleford, Luke Dawn 100 metres, Andy Lynch 41 tackles and 120 metres, keeps going. Nathan Massey had 51 tackles and 14 mark tackles. They were high marks for this weekend.
Yes.
And Lee Jewett with 40 tackles also worked hard locking the scrum.
It's such an industrious pack that Castleford have got, haven't they? Really?
Yeah, I mean, they were missing Oliver Holmes, who, as well as working hard, is a strike weapon as well with the lines he can run.
Are they missing Millington now as well, and Junior Moores?
Well, off the back of this game, yes, Moores, Millington and Ben Roberts all left the game. I think at one point Millington was in the halves.
Right.
I'm not sure how that happened. But basically, when Ben Roberts went off, it did restrict the creativity a bit. But
it can be interesting to see how Supercoach Powell manages that.
Yeah, I mean, Saints had injuries in the game too, obviously. We've just mentioned Swift as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before Diane gets on our back.
Tyler Cass-Fan got in touch with us and said, well done Saints, played the conditions better, forcing 6-1 or 7 goal line dropouts in 6 in the first half. Cass did well to stay in the game, more resilience in defence this year. And Neil Conley got in touch, cracking game, the best we've played for a while. I'm assuming Neil's a St Helens fan.
He is, yeah.
Okay, so over at the KC Stadium, this is the result that prevented me from getting a clean sweep. It was Hull FC 25, Wigan 26, a fight back from Hull FC that Wigan were just about able to see off Mark Hughes.
Yeah, and 10,600 odd there. I wasn't one of them because it was a bit much of a trek after work on a Friday night for me, which is a shame because I would have loved being there.
Yes.
So I would have hated it for large parts of the game.
Yeah, but you did come on buzzing.
But yeah, basically, from what I was listening to on the radio, there was 3 tries called back from forward passes, 2 for Wigan and 1 for Hull. 5 integral forward passes overall in the game. Hull had one on the very first play of the game. They made a break all the way up the field. They would have been tackled, but tackle 1 would have been about 10 metres out from Wigan's line. Instead, tackle 1 was 10 metres out from their own line from a forward pass in the build-up. It was a definite forward pass. Wigan in the next set went through some fairly weak defending for Ben Flower to score. That was... that showed that there was attacking promise in both teams, but maybe not quite perfect execution.
Yeah.
Hull FC actually had a lot more possession of the game in the game overall, and Wigan goal line defence again has been a feature. So much so that one of the Hull tries probably shouldn't have been given. Really good tackle by Josh Charnley.
Was this the one where the lad's foot was in touch?
Onto the line, but obviously the speed of the play live, the officials gave the try, and that settled the finish. That put Hull ahead.
Yeah.
Wigan did a switch in the side. They brought Oliver Gildart on for Lewis Turney, put Dan Sargent at halfback. What you saw was a fullback. What you saw is a fullback with more of a passing game that actually got balls into hand through the line and set Josh Charnley up for the try. That then put Wigan back ahead. I can't remember the actual flow of these things. I think then. Hull must have got... I don't even remember. But it was very exciting the last 15 minutes or so. But basically, what swung it, both teams scored good drop goals, both from distance, over 30 metres out.
Yeah.
Smith and Snay both showed excellent skill for that. What was the difference was Liam Watts threw an absolutely fucking bonkers offload on the kick from the kickoff after the Snade drop goal.
Right.
And that gave Wigan a set because Wigan caught the offload, and that gave Wigan a set underneath the post. Matty Smith was able to score a drop goal after Wigan went close twice to breaking the line actually to score tries.
Right.
And yeah, in the end Wigan won. But I don't know what Watts was thinking.
No.
I've got to be honest. The other controversial moment in the game was a tip tackle that the crowd and the referee seemed to blame on Tali Matautai. The lift actually came from John Bateman. I don't think he actually got his hand in between the opposing player's legs, but he certainly applied a lift motion to the player as Tautai was coming in over the top, and that forced the momentum of the tackle over. The third Wigan player who was already in the tackle on the top before Telltale came in, actually probably controlled it enough for a safe landing, and in the end Bateman got a caution for his part in that rather than anything more malicious. But obviously the Hull fans were screaming for red cards at that stage.
Point in the competitive game, you see that one.
And to be honest, I was